and I'm a person with a disability that qualifies under the Federal Fair Housing Act for reasonable accommodations. And in August, I received a notice of a rent increase, and my rent was going from $844 to $959. That's a $115 increase. I'm on a subsidized housing program. And with the way the current law was, I mean, my daughter and I would have had to be out in 30 days if I hadn't filed a reasonable accommodation, or I'd have to pay $1,059 a month to go from a lease to month to month. And I'm here to petition that, at least maybe the federal government can give us some sort of more funding for the housing programs, because otherwise a lot of us that are on disability, we're going to be out in the streets. We have nowhere to go because the housing programs don't have enough funding to help out with us. It would cost them more in the long run to move me in one shot in a year than it would to pay the increase for the whole year. And I don't understand why they can't help out more on these grounds. And I've been doing a lot of research with landlord-tenant law and reasonable accommodations with disability. And it's amazing to me how many people don't really know their rights as far as tenants and as far as people with disabilities. I think that the Social Security and each landlord should hand out a booklet, right, giving you your rights, letting you know what your rights are, that you are protected under the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with disabilities for reasonable accommodations and modifications. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Are you in a unit that's privately owned?
No, I'm in an apartment complex.
Is it a housing authority home forward project, or is it a private landlord?
No, it's a private landlord.
But your housing assistance comes from a federal program.
Yes, it does.
And just on that point, because Commissioner Novick said it earlier so succinctly, every single year we're seeing cuts to these federal programs under sequestration. And thank goodness the Veterans Administration is the only federal agency exempt from sequestration, which is one of the reasons the county and the city can continue to focus on veterans homelessness. It's the one agency of federal government that doesn't get the automatic cut every year. Would that we had the same clout to extend that principle to the housing. But I will tell you, I don't want to make a bad situation seem more bleak, but there are major party candidates running for the presidency who've said they would abolish the Department of Housing and Urban Development and don't view it as a core function of government. And if that happened, we continue to have a tax code that gives $200 billion of foregone revenue relief to middle income people who deduct their property taxes and their mortgage interest, but we'd have no money for people that are no longer served by the market. So in addition to all the good work that's happening locally, I hope housing finally breaks through as an issue of concern at the federal level. I don't remember housing coming up in any debate that I've watched so far. I don't remember a single question about housing. And we cannot let housing wither on the vine at the federal level, because most of the issues we're talking about are federal issues. They're national concerns. So I very much appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, now I do have a comment on that. Now, there's a lot of veterans out there that are homeless. I mean, where would we be today if it wasn't for those veterans fighting for our country?
That is a
why isn't the federal government helping out with that?
As Commissioner Fish said, we got to give the Veterans Administration credit. I got a call a year ago from the HUD Secretary saying, and from the Veterans Administration saying, would the City of Portland sign up to get all of our homeless veterans inside? And so we partnered with Multnomah County and our housing authority, Home Forward, as well as with the City of Gresham and some nonprofits. So we did make that commitment. And we started out this year with 690 homeless veterans, and we're down to about 230. And our goal is to get them all inside by the end of the year. And that wouldn't happen if it weren't for the Veterans Administration, as Commissioner Fish said, stepping up and giving us vouchers. We're housing 2 a day with vouchers. And there are some very responsible local landlords who need to be praised, because in this superheated real estate market, they they are reserving units for this program because Chair Kafori and I have been calling them, and along with Commissioner Salzman, asking them to reserve units. So that's a success story, but it's an exception because the rest of the federal government, under the control of Congress, as it now stands, is not supporting housing. But the Veterans Administration here in Portland and nationally needs to be praised because they are making a really good thing happen. So
That's great.
With an assist for Sally Erickson, because
yes,
it was a broken system until the Ending Homelessness team at the Housing Bureau sat down with the VA, sat down with the nonprofit provider.